In a sealed laboratory chamber, scrubbed clean before the test, the chemists heat a fleck of strange metal in a vacuum, and the gold vanishes. In its place, an element that was never there appears out of nowhere. This is the story of something that fell out of the sky onto a hill in the Soviet Far East, and the 11 institutes that spent 3 years trying to explain what they pulled off the rock. There are no leaked alien bodies here, no secret morgue, only documented samples, signed lab reports, and one result the chemists wrote down because they could not make it go away. Every detail in this file is on the record. Dalnegorsk, a lead and tin mining town tucked in the mountains of the Soviet Far East, closer to Japan than to Moscow, the kind of place where everyone knows the sound of the ore trains and nothing falls out of the sky. Above the town stands a limestone hill the maps call Mount Izvestkovaya. The locals know it by its survey number. Height 611. January 29th, 1986, just before 8 in the evening. The cold is the dry, locking cold of the far eastern winter. People are home, windows are lit, the hill is a black shape against the last light. And then a light moves across the valley, a reddish sphere, witnesses will say about 3 meters across, gliding silent and flat above the ground. No engine, no sound, holding a steady 15 meters a second, like something being carried. It tracks toward the hill. People stop in the street. For a few seconds, it looks almost deliberate, almost steered. And then it does something that no falling object should do. It jerks. One sharp, wrong motion in the air, and then the glide is gone and it drops. Not floats, drops, like a stone, straight down onto the rocky ledge of height 611. A muted thump rolls down off the rock. Not an explosion, a heavy, dull impact, swallowed by the snow, and where it lands, the ledge begins to burn. The fire does not flash and die. It burns for nearly an hour on a bare rock ledge in deep winter, where there is almost nothing to feed a flame. Witnesses watch it from the town, glowing on the hillside, refusing to go out. By morning, the glow is gone, and the hill is silent. The town talks. A few report it to the people who report such things. But the ledge is steep and iced, and it will be days before anyone climbs up to look. The man who finally organizes the climb is Valery Dvuzhelin of the Far Eastern Committee for Anomalous Phenomena. Not a hoaxer, not a tabloid, a serious investigator who wants samples, not stories. They scramble up the iced rock to the ledge, and the burn is real. A patch roughly 2 meters by 2, where the stone itself has been cooked by a heat that should not have been there. At the center, a tree stump, or what was a tree stump. The heat has turned it into something the report calls porous coals, not ash, not char, but the wood transformed clean through, light and black and hollow as cinder. And scattered across the burn, debris, tiny drops of lead, beads of iron, glassy black droplets no bigger than a grain, and something else. Something none of them recognize. 5 grams of it, a scaly, fibrous material like a tiny net, a mesh. It does not look forged, it looks woven, and that small gray scrap is what will keep 11 Soviet institutes busy for 3 years. The samples go out across the country. Tomsk Polytechnic, the Omsk Academy of Sciences, the Leningrad branch of Izmiran, 11 institutes in all, with microscopes and mass spectrometers, and no patience for ghost stories. The iron beads come back first with a small, stubborn fact. They are so hard that ordinary tools will not touch them. To cut one open, the technicians need a diamond. Then the mesh under the microscope. It is a carbon alloy holding separate metal atoms locked inside it. Carbon, zinc, silver, gold, lanthanum, and more, woven together in one impossible little fabric. And the threads. Each fiber is about 17 microns, a fraction of a hair, and each one is itself spun from even finer fibers, twisted into plates. In places, those plates are intertwined with tiny wires of gold. Gold wires, drawn finer than the chemist could explain, woven into a net the size of a fingernail. The reports start using a careful word for all of it: anomalous. And then comes the test that no one has ever fully explained. They take a mesh particle that clearly contains gold, silver, and nickel. They seal it in a vacuum chamber, sanitized, nothing else inside, and they heated 1,300, then 2,000, then 2,800 degrees. When they look again, the gold is gone, the silver is gone, the nickel is gone. And where they were, the analysis now shows molybdenum with beryllium sulfide and rhenium, elements that were not in the sample, in a chamber where nothing could have gotten in. The chemists write it down and admit they cannot explain it. This is not a campfire rumor. It is written into Soviet Institute reports, signed, filed, dated. The vanishing gold and the appearing molybdenum are the documented core of the case, the part the prosaic explanations have to answer for. And the site refuses to settle. For about 3 years afterward, instruments and observers reported staying active, strange readings, lights, the hill never quite going quiet the way a hill should. There is a human cost in the file too. Researchers who handled the material report reduced white blood cell counts afterward. Whatever they were holding in their tweezers, their bodies seemed to have noticed. Word spreads. In the years after, this small hill in the Far East gets a nickname that travels around the world: the Soviet Roswell. Dvuzhilin, the man who climbed up for the samples, comes to believe he recovered the wreckage of a malfunctioning craft, something that jerked, lost control, and fell. He is not a crank. He is the man who held the mesh. Others reach for an explanation closer to the ground. The researcher Belimov argues it was no alien craft at all, but a classified Soviet military probe, a secret device that came down where it shouldn't have. In 1986, near a closed Far Eastern town, that is not a crazy thing to suspect. So let's give the skeptics their due, because the case earns it. Some scientists never saw a craft here at all. They saw a natural plasmoid, a rare ball of charged plasma that can drift, glow red, and burn out on a rock. Strange, but earthly. And then comes the detail that quietly deflates the alien story, and honesty demands we say it plainly. They ran the lead drops through isotopic analysis. The lead is terrestrial, ordinary Earth lead, and it matches one specific place. The Kolodnensky field in northern Baikal, Soviet ground, not the stars, not even local Dalnegorsk ore, a known lead deposit hundreds of kilometers away. If this fell from another world, why is it carrying our lead? That single fact tilts the whole case earthward. Terrestrial lead points away from spacecraft and towards something made here, a probe, a test, a strange accident of physics. The prosaic answers are real, and they are strong. And yet, a plasmoid does not weave gold wires into a net. A military probe does not, in a sealed clean vacuum, make its gold vanish and conjure molybdenum from nowhere. The lead came from Baikal, but the thing it was woven into, 11 institutes could not explain. The crash has a hill, a date, and a file. The hole in the file is still open.